Welcome to the Principal Podcast, where we talk about how the best professional services firms grow. Whether you're looking to scale your firm or learn from the stories of founders and leaders who've done it, you're in the right place. Join us as we interview the best leaders in professional services. Let's get on with the show. Mark, welcome to the Principal Podcast. Happy to have you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Let's jump straight into it. What's the story? What led you to build strategy to revenue, Mark?
Okay, it all depends how long you have. So I'll try and keep it brief. So I hated university. I couldn't see the relevance of it. I didn't want to be a lawyer. I didn't want to be an accountant. And I have a terrible tendency to say yes and then wonder what the question was. So one day, somebody came up to me and said, Mark, do you know Lotus 123? So for some of your audience, they will have no idea what that is. Think of Excel in black and white. And I went, yes, because I played around with spreadsheets. Before I knew it, instead of attending my graduation, I was running a training course on a topic that I was about 3 pages ahead of everybody else in the classroom. And that's probably how I started getting into professional service, because I enjoyed helping people. So from there, I got involved in the PC world. I have various claims to fame that only I know about. I installed the first copy of Microsoft Word for Networks in the UK for George Harrison. Makes me feel good. No one else cares. I wrote IBM's Token Ring course, and I could still argue that Token Ring was a better solution than Ethernet, but we lost the battle. But over that time, I discovered various things. I discovered I enjoyed sales and marketing as much as I enjoyed writing training courses. And I got bought. So I was a first employee for a company. We sold that company to a big Canadian conglomerate. I was made managing director of the offshoot. And I discovered that I didn't work very well in large corporates. I asked too many questions. I challenged the answers. And it would appear I'm no good at corporate culture politics. So after 9 months, I left. I went back to start another company. And that was building on everything I've learned. And over that period of time, and I've worked in knowledge management, I try to tell everybody that if you want to get knowledge management working, context was everything. And there was a product called Autonomy, you may have heard of. HP spent too much money on it. I was out there telling everybody it wasn't worth it. Unfortunately, HP never listened to me. We end up in a situation where I've been running a company, assessing salespeople, and I was working with my biggest client at the time, which was Thomson Reuters, and they asked me to work with strategy to revenue. I said, yeah, of course I'll work with strategy to revenue. Moved forward 3 years, I owned strategy to revenue. And I am the world's biggest fraud, let me tell you, because I may run a company called Strategy to Revenue. Clearly, I've never had a strategy for my career. It just sort of happens.
Maybe that is the strategy.
Yeah, maybe.
So what is I love the story, Mark. What's the problem that you help people solve today? What is it that you're helping them achieve exactly?
Okay, I'm going to answer it in 2 parts, because there was the problem I set out to solve and the problem I'm now trying to solve, but you'll see how they connect together. So the original problem was, and again, I'm a little bit controversial. I like being that way. Salespeople sell with a buyer's perspective. They are taught to go and qualify a customer to see if they're worthwhile selling to. It's all about the seller. They have these things called suspects. They interrogate and ask their 27 questions to figure out if they're worth selling to. They have fantastic solution acumen. They know everything about their product and nothing about their customer's business. And then they wonder why the customer goes, I don't like salespeople. I see you add no value. So we set out to go and get people to do what we call is sell with a buyer's perspective. So to flip it on its head, and a lot of people talk about it. But we also had another thing that was really important to us. And again, some of your listeners may not like this. I think there is a danger with training companies and professional service businesses that they become too much about the consultants. And because we have to be employed, what we become is the knowledge drug dealer of choice. We make our customers dependent on our knowledge drugs or our skills drugs. You want additional help? Come and ask me. I'll tell you what to do. And we set out to create a business that empowered our customers to run their own programs, to actually own the program, own the execution, own the delivery. And if they come back to us, it's because they want more help, not because their dopamine level's gone down and they need something to go and lift them up again and bring me in. So we don't do sales kickoffs because sales kickoffs, sorry guys, might as well just hand people the money and take them to the pub, because you don't learn anything in the sales kickoff. So handing $20,000, $50,000 to a keynote speaker is great for the keynote speaker. We didn't want to build a business that operated in that way. So we've trained over 100,000, or not we've created content that our clients have trained over 100,000 more salespeople on. But what we discovered is some of the programs work really well, some not so well. And I needed to understand why. So now that's how we are evolving STR. I can't say the word strategy without calling it strategy. So STR. And what I wanted to understand is, why do people change? Why will somebody embrace a new model? Why will somebody utilize a new tool? What is it that causes them to do that? And I now know why, which I can tell you more about if you're interested, but that's how we've evolved the business. So we want to now not just give the programs, but start saying to people, actually, we were solving the wrong problem. We shouldn't be going out telling people how to sell differently. We needed to get people to want to do it and then empower them to be able to do it. And we relied on our clients to get people to want to do it, and we discovered it wasn't working. So now I'm spending more time helping people understand how you get people to do things. And it turns out it's not something complicated, it's something that's built into our brains.
So, I like it. I'm trying to understand from the perspective of the business owner, head of business units, person in charge of the P&L, right? You help my salespeople produce more by wanting to sell. Is that correct?
Well, no. I still got to show them how to do it. But it turns out the following thing happens in your brain. So, and again, I'm going to be thankful to a lady called Ginny Holden, who's I'm working with, is explaining all of this to me. We as human beings are incredibly predictable, which is really disappointing to find out. I always thought I was unique. It would appear that I'm predictably unique. And what our brains do is they protect us. They protect our energy. So if the brain is being asked to do something different, it decides whether it's going to allow energy to go and do that. And there are a set of rules inside my head that will decide whether the valve opens up and lets energy come in and say, I'm going to do something different. And the real disappointment is that throwing logic and data at a person doesn't open the valve. In fact, it's a one-way valve. So all of that stuff comes up against the valve and keeps it stuck. Wait. So the want to do it is you've got to understand the person, understand what drives them, to go and make them want to open the valve and say, okay, I am open to thinking about doing something different. And that's why programs fail. That's why CRM doesn't get used, even if it's easy to use, because most people's brains are going, don't want to, stick with what I know, it's easier, it's safer, and nobody has given me the right reason to do it. So I won't. That's what we're now building into all of the programs we do. Understand the audience better and go, what is it we've got to do to open that valve, to make them open and want to change. Because the brain is going, if I don't think it's worthwhile, you're not going to do it. Does that make sense?
So it does make sense for the end user of your product. I'm still trying to grasp what's the value proposition to the person making the decision, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. The value proposition to the person making the decision is, well, first of all, I've got to use these same techniques on them to make them realize that what they have been doing isn't giving them that ROI they wanted. So you take the step back, and I've bought in professional service. I've spent all of this money on advisors, and what was the end result? The same as it was before. Or I brought in advisors, not to advise me, but to go and prove that my thinking is right. I get the result I want. The brain was open. I got the result I wanted. It wasn't change. It was actually a reinforcement of the status quo. So I have to understand what that leader is trying to do. And do they really want to change the way their people are going to sell and get greater productivity, increased share of wallet, more net new clients? Then I have to help them do that. If what they want to do is look safe in a job, right? Then some of what I'm going to say keeps hitting that block, because they go, I don't want to change, so don't talk to me about doing something different. Which then takes me onto a whole new world about ICP, because all of a sudden you realise that ICP is too broad. It's all about the people you're talking to. What is it they want to do? Not what does their job title say they ought to be doing, or what did a company similar to them do? What do you want to do? So this is changing the way I operate, but also changing the way we ask our customers to operate. Because we all have to be going in the same direction towards the same outcome.
Yeah. So tell me more about, I won't call it the ICP then, the people you work with, Mark. Is there a specific industry, vertical, niche, company size, job title that you typically
Yeah.
find more success with? Like who does Mark work with?
Okay. So again, this is quite challenging, really. So prior to meeting Ginny, I would have given you the typical answer. I would have looked back at who I've been successful with. So who have I been successful with? I tend to work with large enterprises. Through happenstance and history, they tend to either be in the IT sector or the logistics sector, because that's who I've worked with. And in an ideal world, they operate in more than one country, because I can give them scalable solutions.
Yeah.
Does that mean that's who I should be selling to? No, that's who I have been selling to. I'm now re-looking at it. And just like you asked me, but what's in it for the individual? I am going back and going, well, what is it am I selling?
Yeah.
So what do I look for? So now I look for people who are confronted with problems I know I can solve. So that could be and they tend to be in their minds in distress. So I'm going after low-hanging fruit now. I don't want to have to convince you need to change if you think you are successful. That's a waste of my energy and your energy. So I talk to people in the sales world where they know their pipeline isn't big enough and they can't figure out what to do differently. Or they know that they're too reliant on 4 clients. Or they know that they're too reliant on their maverick salespeople that they can't manage and hold them hostage. And they're petrified they're going to leave, because then what's going to happen to my business?
Yeah.
But I also talk to people who go, I sell software that is reliant on people using it if I'm going to get a renewal, and people aren't using it. How do I solve that problem? And the interesting one at the moment is I'm starting to talk to people who are going, I know I need to get people to use AI, but I don't know what that really means. And I've given them Copilot, and now we have emails that are no longer written by human beings that nobody's reading because everybody told them AI solved the problem. So we got garbage going out left, right, and centre. How do I get people to do it properly? So solving the same problem, which is how do I get someone to do something different?
Yeah.
Who am I talking to in terms of the individuals? It's not about role.
Mm-hmm.
I'm now going, who? I need to talk to people who own the problem, therefore want there to be a solution.
Mm-hmm.
So that could be a CRO. It could be the CFO who's sitting there going, guys, we give too many discounts away. You've all had your negotiation training courses. You're still giving too much discount away. Why aren't you doing this properly? And then we'll go and work out, well, you pay them on revenue, not on margin, so they don't care. You know,
Yeah.
you know. So I'm now starting to start with the problem I'm solving, who's got the problem, and then we go and talk to those people about their issue. And we're using AI to go and personalize that down. So literally, when I find the person, I can start to build them a personalized message that will again open their valve to want to spend the energy to have a conversation with me.
I like that. So, industry agnostic, company agnostic, it's basically more on behavior. It's who
Absolutely.
knows that they have a problem and they want to find a solution.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, over time, and you know, why am I on these sorts of things? Yeah, I've got to educate people that there's a different way of approaching it.
Yeah.
But people are risk averse. You know, we're all risk averse. So if I say to you that I've got something new that's never been done before,
Yeah.
most people will go, well, you know, I'll wait. So there's got to be a compelling reason for them to do it.
Yeah.
The reality is, I'm not selling something new that's never been done before. I'm selling something that's been done for thousands of years. We just didn't know it. And what's
Mm-hmm.
new is that through Ginny, we've actually modeled it out, codified it, so I can use an equation to all intents and purposes to say, this is what you need to do to open that valve,
Mm.
to get someone to use it, to get someone to do something different. That's what we're doing now.
Mm. So, tell me about how you market and brand all this, Mark, because I love the messaging and the positioning, right? It makes a lot of sense to me. Hey, we only come in if you know you have a problem. If you have a problem, if you know you have it, and if you want to fix it. Like, sounds great. I'm very curious though about how you go from that to having leads knocking on the door. So how do you think about all this?
Oh, every day. I mean, let's be honest. You know, reality is I'm about 23. Okay. You know, all of this stuff has just come from overthinking it. So, look, like lots of professional service people, I've built businesses that have never relied on cold leads coming through the door. I have built businesses based on reputation, whether I like it or not. At some level, they're based on the brand of Mark. I mean, look at me, you know, I am not your average professional service person. My shirts are too loud, my hair's too long, my hands move too much. I don't fit the mold, but that's perfect because that's the mold I want to fit. Um, so what we've done historically is taken referrals. We have success. Everything that we do is based on giving results. People move jobs. They ring me up. Hey, Mark, can we do it again? But that's limiting. You can't scale businesses well through that. So you've got to go and do more. So there's two things we're doing. One, we are using the model to target cold outreach. So literally, I'm going using the model. Who have got the problem I think I can solve? Is there somebody in there who has the right power or authority to want to do it so that they can actually have the conversation, that they can easily be opened up to the needs, and we send the messages and we follow up to them directly. The other side is doing things like this. So again, I have been learning about all of the different personas. of people.
Yeah.
And I used to spend my life going, and hopefully this story resonates with people. I'm like the little boy pulling on his father's coat saying, Daddy, Daddy, the emperor's got no clothes on. Why is he walking around nude? What I didn't understand is that that story is fails because the little boy, whilst he is telling the truth, nobody trusts him and he has no power.
Yeah.
And if you want to change something, truth without trust and power is you're just shouting into the wind.
Mm-hmm.
You may feel better, but nothing happens.
Yeah.
There's one character that can get away with it a little bit. It's called a joker. So if you know your medieval time, you had the joker with a stupid hat, juggling, playing the lute. And the joker was the only person that was allowed to tell the king what they were doing wrong without having his head cut off,
Mm-hmm.
because they had this role. So meet your joker. I am leaning into that to go and say not just the truth, but trust me, I'm saying this properly and using, no offense, people like yourself to get the message out. And if you trust me to say this and you let people hear it, it will get further forward. And then I will give case studies which give us the power, because I don't have the power yet to change the world. But as we all know, you don't have to be very clever to have all of the power to take countries to war. So that comes with time. So much against my historical better judgment, the other way we're doing it is putting me front and centre. And for the Brits on this audience, I am a Marmite character. For the Australians, I'm a Vegemite character. For the North Americans, you have no idea what I'm talking about. But it's a food that was marketed on you either love it or you hate it. There's no middle ground. And I'm going to play that character. You either believe me or you don't. If you don't, it was really nice to meet you. And if you do, let's carry on the conversation. I save you energy, I save me energy, and we'll see what happens.
Mm. I think you
Welcome to
have
my weird world.
I think you have to be, I don't know if the word is polarizing, but you have to be unique in a way today. There is so much noise. There is so much like AI generated content in email, on LinkedIn, in videos now even, that you have to have a bit of an edge. And I think whilst this will exclude probably a vast majority of the population, the reality is you don't need to work with the majority of the population. You need a very small select group of people listening to you, following the advice, and engaging with you. So I like it. I like
I
the
agree.
flow
Yeah.
of it.
Can I add, in this polarized world, authenticity becomes even more important.
There is a reason why
And
we're doing this live. Couldn't
yeah,
agree more.
yeah, yeah. So I have a major failing. I know I have a major failing. I cannot be that drug dealer, right? Um, so there's another bit that goes on in when I've had successful clients
Mm-hmm.
is the successful clients know that I will fire them if they don't hold up their side of the bargain.
Mm.
We're in this together. It's about mutual success. And if I can't help you, I'll put my hand up and go, I can't help you. Equally, if you don't want to be helped and
Mm-hmm.
you don't put your hand up, I will go, you're fired, because
Yeah.
there's no point in doing it. I will not take revenue for the sake of revenue because it goes against my inner authenticity. I wouldn't want someone to do that to me. I can't do it to my clients.
Yeah.
There are people who are much richer who don't have that approach. Good luck to them. I cannot do that. And there is quite a long list of clients, very large companies that I have fired over the years, um, who I still am in contact with, and they laugh about it because they go, "You were right. It was never going to work." Good.
Fair enough. I like your style, Mark. So maybe I fall into the first category. I'm gonna throw a
Excellent.
little bit of a curveball question at you now. What's your number one challenge? What is the one nut that you're trying to crack that you know once you crack, you take the whole thing to the next level? If that's even the goal. right? Because again, it all depends on the goal. So, what would that be for you?
Okay. So as a as a character, I've learned I'm what's called an optimizer. I like to take ideas and make them as good as possible. Um, and again, sometimes I know in myself I have a boredom threshold, which says once I've optimized it, I've got to make sure I got people with me who keep doing it because I'm on to the next thing. I'm interested in the next thing. Um, at the moment, the biggest challenge is coming to terms with the fact that I'm predictable. I don't want to be predictable. But if so, I keep challenging the model that keeps telling me, Mark, you just did what I told you you were going to do. And that one level, it makes my brain hurt and it's tiring. But it's important because once I can only do what I believe in. So I've got to get over that. I'm virtually there. There's a few more steps to do. And from there, it's about making it so that it can be done without Mark or Ginny being in the room. I want to offer a professional service experience that the customers do themselves. That if they ask us to be involved, it's because we are doing something that they cannot do, not because they don't have the not because they don't have the knowledge, but maybe they don't have the right mentality. They're not in the right place. I'll help,
Yeah.
but I want them to strive to be self-sufficient. So everything I'm doing, we are going to turn into a black box. And that's the beauty of the AI world. If we got the model, I'll get the AI to go and support the people, to go and then that's when the world is my oyster, because whether it's training salespeople, and imagine a world where we stop talking about A, B, and C players, and we go, no, here's what you need to do, and the only reason you are not doing it is because your valve is shot. And either that means that you are in the wrong job, okay? Your brain is not wired to be a salesperson. Don't be a salesperson. No amount of training is going to enable you to deal with the fact that you get 99 no's before you get one yes. Do something else and make it a proactive experience. So all of a sudden, take it wider, we give people the ability to do the jobs that they enjoy because it's what they are. And for the Gen Zs and Gen Alphas out there, imagine how wonderful that would be. None of this slaving away doing something you don't want to do, because we can show you and organizations how to put the right people with the right mindsets in the right jobs and not just have it based on skills or experience, whatever that may mean.
Mark Savinson, ladies and gentlemen. Mark, if people want to find out more about you, see what you do, where should they go?
Best place is LinkedIn. I'm always putting on rubbish on LinkedIn. You get to see pictures of me and my grandchildren and my shirts. And I have a really, really nice camouflage jacket. So you can find me on LinkedIn. That'll point at websites and everything else. So that's where you find me.
We will put all the links in the description. For what I'm concerned, I can say that you've gained at least one new connection on LinkedIn out of this interview, Mark. We are now connected. Thank you so much for coming on the Principal Podcast.
Pleasure. Thank you for having me. And everybody have a great day.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of the Principal Podcast. We hope you've learned valuable lessons and strategies to grow your firm and take your business to the next level. Make sure to subscribe and leave us a review wherever you're listening to this show so you never miss an episode. To apply and be a guest on the show, click the link in the description. See you next time.